Hello and welcome to another episode of the OLY Podcast show. Really good show for you today, guys, with none other than our very own OLY athlete, Zoe Kerr. Zoe is an 18-year-old CrossFitter from Northern Ireland, well, Bangor, Northern Ireland, and already an illustrious career, having only been in the sport for 2 years. You'll see from the marketing that it's not our polished shows, it's Zoom recording, or Skype recording, sorry. Obviously, the sound quality might not be as great. The audio file might not be as great. It might glitch and bump and grind, but it is what it is. We're having to make do with the situation at the moment, and it's the quality of the content that really matters. So, speaking of the quality of content, we have some great conversations in the show. Every time I talk to Zoe, it always wows me at the fact that she's still only 18. I was in complete admiration at her opinions and standpoints on certain things. So we talk about some uncomfortable topics, especially for an 18-year-old female in today's social media crazy world. We talk about, the love-hate relationship with social media, what it means to be a girl in the 21st century. But also we talk about how sport can change her aesthetics, how sport can change the way she looks and feels about herself, or how other people are getting affected by the way the sport makes them look and feel about themselves. And, I wanted to address it and I wanted to talk to Zoe, and she really does a great job at answering all my questions. And, she gives her 5 cents and I love it. And I agree with everything she said as well. I'll do a bit of the housekeeping, guys. If you're listening to this show, it means that you are able to avail of the OLY Podcast discount code. It is the only code that avails of 10% off every single product, including delivery on our site. There's no other code that does that. No athlete code, no nothing. It is our way of saying thank you for listening. And in exchange, we ask that if you got value, if you got some kind of good information or quality information, or you learned something, or you laughed, or whatever it may be, that you tell someone about the show. We are hell-bent on not paying a penny to advertise the show because it's not what it's about. It's not a sales ploy. This is our way of helping people holistically succeed, and we rely on you to spread that message. So yeah, I'll leave you with the company motto, which is small victories repeated daily, and I will talk to you next week, guys. All the best and enjoy. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the OLY Podcast. We are joined by none other than Zoe Kerr. Zoe is an OLY athlete of ours, and we have a really cool show lined up. Lots to cover. Some interesting points that Zoe will actually be able to give us a really good insight onto. Quick bit of housekeeping. Graham's sitting working in the background here, so if you hear any background noise during this recording, it's just Graham hounding away. So, no further ado, Zoe, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Lou. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to get a chat. We haven't been catching up all that much during COVID. How have you been?
I know I've been good, just training away and doing my thing. Good, the sun's out, just to get a bit of outdoor training going, but yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to start. How has your training been affected? Because actually, bit of background, Zoe is obviously one of our OLY athletes, which is a competitive CrossFitter at quite a high level, and Zoe is only 18 years old. So, but yeah, talk me through how's your training been affected. We'll get straight into it.
I feel like compared to other sports, I'm actually in quite a lucky position because I've been able to be lent some equipment, thankfully, and just, training away and all the different, weights, machines, all that sort of stuff. So I've been able to pretty much keep my training up, as much as I can. Obviously don't have all the rig stuff for gymnastics and whatever, but hopefully we'll be able to get into the gym sometime soon. But yeah, just keeping positive and focusing on the endurance, which is a bit of a weakness of mine. So yeah, getting the running going a bit more.
I love that you're kind of seeing the silver linings from the whole thing, I suppose.
Yes, there's silver linings and everything.
Yeah, and I see you're it's been a bit of a family effort. Your brother's climbing Kilimanjaro on stairs, and your parents are following suit and stuff. So like, how have they helped you during this time?
Yeah, they're really into it as well. I've actually been programming for my mum, so she's just turned 50 last week, and she's been training like 2-3 times a day and everything. And my mum and my dad and her wake up at 7 a.m. and go for a 5K walk every morning, and then they'll be doing half marathon walks and everything on Saturdays. So do you know what? They're going for 50.
What are you charging your mum? You got her on special family rates, or is she just normal price?
No, she just doesn't need to cook me vegan food. That's the deal. So she's a
Oh,
vegan. So I said, you know what? If you keep cooking me the meat and staying me clear of your vegan meals, I'll keep going.
you're just like, give me the bacon and you can have whatever you
Yeah,
want. I love it.
exactly. Get me the burgers and then you can have as much programming as you want.
I love it. Well, listen, we wanna give people a brief look into your journey, and like I say, you're 18, you're dead young, but you've already achieved so much in our sport. But of course, we both know that's not the only sport you've competed in. So go right to the back, or right to the start, sorry, and give us a brief run through of kind of the stages it's taken you to get here.
Yeah, so I've got a background in gymnastics and trampolining. I kind of did gymnastics just from I was no age, and then started trampolining when I was 8 or 9, and did that all the way through until I was 14. So I went to the World Championships and stuff in America, and it was a great experience. I was able to go travel around for Team Ireland to loads of different countries, which is an amazing experience when you're so young. And it was great, and I was quite passionate about that and everything. But then, I was getting a bit older, 13, 14 in school, and I just lost my passion for it.
Yeah,
I wasn't getting a lot out of it, to be honest. So I quit that in the July when I was 14. And then in the August, I knew of a girl, one of my friends actually. She had started the teens class at CrossFit MCI, and she
nice.
was really enjoying it. So I said, right, you know what? I need something to fill up my schedule because I've been used to training 5, 6 times a week, doing trampolining. So I was like, right, let's go. And then me and my mum went in and got me signed up with Jackie Pope, actually, owner of CrossFit
Yes.
MCI. Shout out JP. And
Mommy Jackie.
mhm. And so that was, we went in on like Monday, I think, and then I started on the Wednesday in the teens classes, and literally loved it the minute I went in. Really enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the variety of everything, and just kind of the environment in CrossFit MCI is just like a good community feel. So basically, I until I was 16, because there's a rule, so you're not allowed to do the adults classes until you're 16. So
Yeah.
I was in the teens classes for a year and a half then until I was 16, and was kind of just doing, the teens classes, gaining passion for it and everything like that, and did a few competitions. I did the coastal clash actually with the MCI's RX team, and I had like 1 or 2 bar muscle ups, and I just, it was good. It was really good experience actually, because I was like 15, I think, and was doing some bar muscle ups in competition. So
Great.
it was just a good experience doing that. And then when I was 16, I think 16, I joined the adults classes and started individual programming and everything like that. And that year in the open, so I was still in the teens category for the open, and I came quite close to qualifying for the games when it was still top 20 for the age
Yeah.
group. It's gone down to 10, but it was top 20. So I ended up missing it, obviously, but it was something that, seeing me be so close to the top girls in that group, really give me that drive to try and, further myself in that. So yeah, so that takes me to 17 or so. And then when I was 17, I qualified for the Wodapoloza, which so I qualified for that when I was 17, and then we went, and it was just an amazing experience. We had the best time.
And for a bit of context on that, the Wodapalooza would be our equivalent of, because we're going to have people listening and watching that are doing multiple sports. So
Yeah,
the CrossFit Games that Joey had mentioned, there's like, it's our World Cup, it's the equivalent of that. And then Wodapalooza is a festival of fitness, but it's nearly neck and neck in terms of the festival style experience that the Wodapalooza put on, and the standard of competitions sky high. And so just wanted to drop that in for context. But I know exactly where you were at whenever you came back from Wodapalooza. Like, you were pumped. Like, talk me
yeah.
through that whenever you came home.
So that was January last year, and I came home. I came 13th out of 15, which for me at the time, I qualified in 15th, was like amazing. Just the fact that I was even there, I was so pleased with. But I was like, do you know what? I'm thirsty for more. Give me more of this. And then that was my last year in the online qualifier for the games as a teen. I
Hmm.
actually got a back. I had an injury in my back during the qualifier, so I didn't do very well in that and didn't miss the qualifying. So At that point, I was devastated. I was really, because I really thought that was my final year to qualify, and that was quite disappointing. But anyway, I moved on and did the qualifiers for the Wodapoloza again this year. So that would be my last teen competition until I transferred into adults. And then I qualified for that, and it was just in February there before this whole coronavirus outbreak. And my goal for that was top 5 and then an event win. That's what I thought. That's where I judged that my level was at, and that's what I really wanted to do. And I did that. I came 5th and then got an event win. So I came home from that buzz. I was so pleased, and I was like, right, do you know what? I'm going to set some goals and get ready to start my adult career now. And then that brings us to this. And then it took a bit of a spin because now it's been locked on, but that was the intention.
It's a pretty I would say one phrase comes to mind, and it's baptism by fire. I mean, like, really, you've only been doing competitive CrossFit for the guts of 2 years, and already, I mean, you're leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the girls you're going up against locally. In fact, locally, there's probably not many at your age that will go toe to toe with you. So, like, have you always been a competitor, an athlete? Have you always been in that? Is that in your DNA? Like, because the reason I ask is, like, you've achieved so much only in 2 years of this sport, and then you're still 18. So in the grand scheme of your athletic career, you're still so early in it. So, have you always been this competitive and this driven to want to go and compete?
Yeah, I've always been a really competitive person, just even from gymnastics and trampolining growing up, and just having that competition environment from I was no age. But actually, surprisingly, I was really bad at competing at trampoline. I hated it. Like, I just wasn't my thing. I literally fell off the trampoline every competition. But then when I got into CrossFit, I just loved competing. I think it was almost because the pressure, there's literally no pressure at a CrossFit competition. It's so chaotic and there's so much going on that you just need to trust your training and just go and do it, and it's so enjoyable. So that's my favorite part about CrossFit, the competition side, like the in-person competition. It's just I just really, really enjoy that, and I thrive off that, actually. But yeah, because I have an older brother, me and him are really competitive with each other. So you can just imagine, like, wrestling. He was into WWE, and we were having me in the Undertaker moves and everything. It was too much. But me and him have been really competitive, which has actually helped us both in the long run. So yeah.
So I think, even from listening to you, and I haven't met you before and chatted with you before about all this, it's like one thing that I really put towards your success, or identify for being put towards your success, is the environment that you're in and the people you're surrounded by. Like, your brother, your mum, and your dad are incredibly competitive, but they're also incredibly supportive. And then, another individual you mentioned earlier is mummy Jackie. Sorry, we just had a bit of a bang at the back. Is Jackie, and Jackie, I know, Jackie's kind of I class Jackie as a mentor of mine, and I want to touch base on her. Like, how important has it been having individuals like Jackie and your parents in your corner whenever you're doing all these things?
I would have to, honestly, my 3 role models in my life are my mum, my dad, and Jackie Pope is definitely one of them, because I just think that the adversity that she's faced throughout her life and has overcome with so much positivity, just the way she lives her life is just so positive. Like, as soon as you met her, you would know she's just so friendly and kind and everything. And her success in powerlifting, she's a Commonwealth Games athlete, and her success in her business and, her job and everything, I just think the way she balances life between her sport and her business and her family is really admirable. And the fact that she's in my corner, and she's come to Miami with me both times, her and her husband and Gary, and it's just, they're almost like a family to me as well. They really, really support me, and I know that she has my best interest at heart and has really, really played a huge part in my CrossFit career so far, and also just me on more of a personal level as well. She's just an amazing person that I'm so grateful to have in my corner for all this.
And for you being so young, like, when I was your age, I kind of thought I could take on the world, and I was kind of I was too big for my boots at times, and I've always had to learn the hard way. I'm a stubborn learner, but that's just my nature. Like for you, have you been able to be open-minded enough to ask the questions and to want to invest time in trying to learn off others, or what's your learning style in the journey so far?
Yeah, well, initially when I started CrossFit, I kind of just did as I was told by, the coaches and everything like that, and didn't really ask too many more in-depth questions about kind of the reasoning behind all the training and, really trying to understand my body and everything like that. But as I've got a bit older and learnt a lot more about the effects of CrossFit and, how nutrition and training, how you balance that out with sleep and everything like that, I've actually become really passionate about the topic, and I've tried to really learn a lot more, whether it be from podcasts, listening to them, or whether it just be from just people around me who also know the information about CrossFit. But yeah, I definitely seek advice of lots of different people and from different sources. I do enjoy like feedback from other people and learning and information from that. So yeah, I do try and learn from other people who are a lot older, more wise than I am, and just try and see what wisdom they can give me.
That's really impressive. It shows even for you being as young as you are. Like it sometimes still baffles me that you're still only 18 and what you've already achieved. And but yeah, what I was saying is it's incredible how open-minded you are for being so young. Like I know personally a lot of individuals at that age were like me, and it can be difficult for some people to open up and ask. It can be difficult for people to feel like they're wrong or feel like they're a student or they're getting taught a lesson. But I think that's really admirable about you and what and how you've utilized it, and the fact that you do have such a good supportive group. Like you've had there's been coaches in your life that have brought you these 2 years now. You've kind of moved on, and then having Jackie in your corner and your parents who are incredibly supportive. Like at the end of the day, you couldn't go to Wodapoloza and you couldn't do all those things without their backing.
No,
And
like you touched on there with my coach who brought me through for 2 years, like he also taught me so much and I learned so much from him. And again, I wouldn't be as far as I am now without his support as well. So it was all that from the start, those people who'd nurtured me through MCI, that really give me the true passion and desire to go even further in CrossFit.
And I think as well that's the strength of a good coach. I mean, if Mark hadn't have looked after you as well as he did, you might have, because you're at such a high level, it's so easy to get burnout. It's so easy for that to consume your life. And to me, a good coach is someone that can say, look, calm the jets, or we might be pushing the boat out here too much, because when you're young, your body can take so much stress. You could do 3 sessions a day for 10 weeks straight, and it would be doable. But I think it's important to have the right people from an early age in your corner that have your best interests, at heart, and they're aligned with that, because it would be so easy for anyone to say, Zoe, go and do stupid workouts every single day because I know you'll do them. But that's not going to be safe for you.
Exactly. It's important that they know you and know your body and know how know how well you respond to different types of training. I think that was really important, and that was done really well, especially in the start of my career and start of my journey.
So we'll move on to like kind of the first area that I wanted to chat about, and it really is, and I'm going to leverage your age here because you're literally the youngest person we've ever had on the show. So you're able to bring a really unique angle to it. And we had spoke about this before, and it's something we're both interested in. So being young and coping with the pressure, or being young, how do you cope with the pressure of balancing school, training, social life? Because you are moving into that age where, mates are going out and they're partying. Well, not at the moment, but, you're coming to that age, and maybe when you were 16, it wasn't a big thing to go out drinking, but it is now. And that's just an example, of course. So I don't even know if you're into drinking or whatever, but how do you balance that? And do you reckon CrossFit might have negatively impacted that in the last year or two?
Yeah, I think that's a really tough question, because I think no matter what you're doing, that you're putting lots of time and effort into, which for me is CrossFit. And that is something that is really high on my priority list, and it has been for the last couple of years. And I think when you have something like that, and then you obviously have school and friends and the norm for what people 16, 17, 18 should be doing and what they usually do, it's a lot to try and fit into one. But something that I've maintained is kind of my priority list and what's really important to me. And CrossFit has always been up there, but also my school life and making sure that I just stay on top of being close to my friends and going out and doing all that. I think it's really important to have that balance and not just be all like guns blazing for CrossFit, because that, as you mentioned just there, that's going to cause a burnout, I think. So I actually think that the fact that I had school, not obviously not now, because it's been finished quickly, but I think the fact that I had school as an outlet from CrossFit was really important for me. And I think that the support network that I had in my school was really beneficial, and I was able to use that and their flexibility and understanding of my training schedule. And I
Yeah.
think that was important for me, trying to balance both and keep a really good mental state throughout. Obviously, don't get me wrong, there was times where I was like, oh my gosh, this is far too much, like something needs to give. But I kind of just used, as you said before, my mom and dad as support system to just try and time
Yeah.
manage well. And but yeah, it's definitely not easy at all, but I just think as long as you have your priorities right, then you'll be fine.
And so you've heavily talked about your school and CrossFit there, but where's your social life come into that?
And it,
Are you a social butterfly, or do you prefer to be on your own, or do you have a select group of friends, or how do you work that?
yeah, I do have a select group of friends, definitely. I've got a close knit group of friends that they understand that I don't have the same amount of time as they do. For example, to go out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go drinking and everything like that. I definitely do go out, but it would be more on times when, say it was on a Saturday night before my rest day, that sort of situation,
Yeah.
or on times just when I'm not coming straight up to a competition or something like that. And I just think that it's important that I've been really lucky that they've understood that and understood where my priorities are. And actually, I've got quite a few friends who also are really dedicated to their sport. Like one of my best friends does taekwondo, and she's like really into that, so she understands and can relate to what I'm going through or whatever. But yeah, I just think it's tough to match, but you've got to just work out what's best for you.
And I was going to say, has it kind of negatively impacted your life? But I think for you, like your life is what you prioritize, and it is what you like. You're prioritizing what you enjoy,
Yeah.
and like first and foremost, that's incredibly mature. I mean, for me, I can only relate to me and use me as an example. It took me to maybe 21, 22 before I really realized what I wanted to prioritize. And I was running the business and had other projects on the go at the time. And but it's incredible to hear you talk so maturely about all these things, and yet you're still super, super young. So I think it's an ode to yourself, and you should really um, be happy with that. Like that's an incredible trait to have. And on the CrossFit and like social life, there was one thing that I want to talk to you about, and it really stems from whenever I was coaching and whenever I was training people, and multiple girls would come in, and I think I was 21, 22 at the time, so only like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and girls would come in looking personal training or one-on-one coaching or whatever, and they'd start giving off that they didn't want to get bulky and they didn't want to get look a certain way. And CrossFit's incredibly rigorous, right? And your body will go through physical changes. um is it a problem with you that you come to terms with the fact that your body might change physically, just for the social implications? And maybe, I don't know, talk me through that.
I think it would be a lie. It would be a lie to say that no, it hasn't crossed my mind and it hasn't been a struggle, because it has, and I completely can recognize other girls fearing that. But
Yeah.
I've done CrossFit could say properly training for, you know, just over 2 years now, and I train twice a day, and I'm not like overly, you know, bulky or anything like that. I just, you know, obviously I've got muscles and everything like that, but I think that as long as you can recognize that you're I think people need to get into the mindset of training for performance and for their body and nourishing their body rather than training to look a certain way. That's what I feel like CrossFit is anyway. I think that a lot of girls who do CrossFit are like so pleased and proud of what their body can do and what it looks like actually, you know, and how strong and fit and healthy it is. And I think that once the stigma is kind of broken down and a girl, especially young girls, can get into CrossFit and, you know, just even get through the doors, then they realize that it's kind of, even in the boys in CrossFit, they know what it takes for a girl to, you know, the amount of training that it takes for her body to look like that. And boys in CrossFit, I think, almost appreciate it more because they're like, that girl, like the amount of work that it's taken for her to get like that, like, you know, all the high profile CrossFitters, you know, I don't look like them, but they're women. So obviously, you know, it comes with your body develops as you become a woman. But I do think that it's tough for young girls, especially whether it be looking too muscular, looking too like, you know, big, skinny, all that. I think there's a different stigma around all body types. And I just think that that is a huge issue with society and what the perceived ideal body type is. And if we can all break that down and actually appreciate what our bodies can do and the real meaning of CrossFit, which is being fit and healthy and being together in a community, then girls will start to love and appreciate what their bodies can do. But I know it's really tough. It's easier said than done to, you know, not think about what other people are thinking or being too muscular or whatever. But it's just, it definitely is a difficult thing to deal with, but I just keep, anytime it comes into my head, I just try and keep my goals in mind and think that, like, I've got really bad upper body strength, so I'm really bad at like strict handstand push-ups, bench press, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to do it. But then I'm like, do you know what, if you want to be able to do strict handstand push-ups in a competition, you're going to need to do the bench press. So that's how I stay on top of it anyway.
You know what? I really respect that answer because I'll always ask girls that, because to me it's such, you know, it's easy for me as a boy to sit and ask the question because I'm not the one that has to live it and experience it. But also, we just don't understand. You know, we think, I think all men really respect any woman that's getting into sports, whether it be our game of CrossFit or any kind of activity. But it's only been the last like 20, maybe 10 years, I would say. I mean, I can't comment if it's been going for 20 years. It probably might have, but the stigmas are creating such barriers. And that was kind of the next area that I wanted to talk, because you can give us a really unique standpoint in this. The stigmas are creating barriers. And of course, with our brand, we want everybody to get the goodness from health, fitness and wellness. We want everybody to experience that. And do you reckon the barriers are socially orientated, or they're just kind of silly stigmas that have kind of taken this big massive whirlwind and got out of hand? Like, what do you think the main barriers for young girls getting into sports is?
Like, I personally do think that obviously social media and it's being prevalent in today's society really plays a huge impact on that. And it infuriates me even thinking about it, and about, you know, the perception of an ideal body type, as I touched on there, and actually kind of not allowing not giving your body a chance to be fit and healthy and participate in sports, not just CrossFit. It applies for everything for girls, and, you know, athletics, netball, whatever. You're going to have a more muscular and athletic stature if you get really into those sports. And I actually think that should be praised, because the amount of hard work, and I know that it does take a lot of hard work and dedication to get your body to a certain, you know, way to be able to thrive in whatever sport that you're doing. And I just think that it's actually sad that girls feel the pressures to be skinny or whatever that they think is the ideal body type. I think that it's sad that they're not giving themselves the chance to be able to participate in these sports and be able to feel the sense of pride that they would if they were able to set themselves a goal and achieve it in sport. And as I said, I do think social media plays a huge part of that, and just the silly stigmas that are now associated with that. But I do think that having a really supportive network of people around you can help break those barriers down, and can help build your self-confidence and self-esteem, because that, at the end of the day, is a huge part of the issue. Girls being insecure and not having a high enough self-esteem to be like, do you know what, I'm actually really proud of what I've done and what my body can achieve through these sports. So I think it's tough for girls, especially young girls nowadays, trying to enter sports.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it really, really well there. And again, Zoe, like, epic answers. There's so much value in this for so many young girls. I can't wait to share it, actually. But you touched there on social media, and everybody knows social media is kind of what you make it. It's kind of, you can, some people are setting up social media profiles to be these big influencers, and some people are just, doing it so they can take a photo of their dog on Sunday. But you're right. There is a huge amount of consequences and implications coming from social media and the way the platforms work, and the like system and the comment system. I think there is more than ever pressure for girls to look and be a certain way. And then when you couple that in with, girls are going on to Instagram when they're like, 15, 16, 17, 18, and, they're seeing the Kim Kardashians, they're seeing all the tits and ass photos, because that's what they are. And there is profiles literally set up, around that, and exposing themselves to the absolute limit, if you know what I mean, just to get a like. And has that caused, as a boy, I'm like oblivious to it. If something looks good, I'll like it. That's just the way it is. But is it a big a thing as we think it is, or like, do boys just not see it for what it is?
I personally now, as I've seen it, it doesn't affect me. I don't really look at all that sort of stuff either. I've learned to kind of follow people who make me feel good about myself and who I'm interested in. That's what I do. But I do see so many people, especially from the kind of 13 to 16 age bracket, just because they're so impressionable and see all these people and the highlights reels of Instagram and what people are doing and how they're looking and their filtered bodies and everything. And I think that is so detrimental to mental health. And I actually think that, obviously I'm looking at it from a girl's perspective, but I think it can be really tough on boys as well, seeing, all the chiseled Love Islanders with, a 12-pack going on, and then people almost think that is the norm, or that they should be looking like that, whether it is a boy or a girl. And I do think that it even, like, the stats are show that the teenage suicide rate is going up, and it's becoming a huge issue that really needs to be tackled, because it can be a very toxic environment, social media, just with all the body situation and stuff. I personally, because I can kind of see it for what it is, it doesn't affect me that way, but I do see why it needs to be a change needs to be made for younger people. And I do think people are starting to be more real on social media.
Yeah.
Definitely, and opening up a lot more about kind of real life struggles and, natural bodies or whatever.
But I agree with what you're saying as well. And let me just isolate something for a second. You said a really good point about, I can't remember word for word, but it's making the platform for what it is to you and following who you want. And it's something that that I actually done as recently as March there. I unfollowed nearly 1,000 people, and because I'm on social media so much with running the business page, not running it again, sorry. I took time off Instagram completely for nearly the guts of 2 years, because in the first 2 years of OLY, having been on it so much, I just developed a really unhealthy relationship with my phone in general. I mean, I wasn't worried about looking or feeling a certain way. I've never struggled with that. But what I was doing was just consuming on the platform, like, 3 or 4 hours a day on the platform, which for me, like, I don't want my life to be that, but the point that I'm getting to is about making the platform your own. So, for example, I think I follow like 500-600 people now. which is still a huge amount. And the goal was to get it down to like maybe 200, but only expose myself to 200 people that I truly, truly valued. And whenever you think about it, it's such an important thing because the noise on Instagram is ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
you can say, for me, I'm big into philanthropy and philosophy, and I love reading that all that business guru shit, and I'm into CrossFit and I'm into rugby and all my sport, and that's kind of what my platform on Instagram looks like. But it's still so noisy and so confusing, and even in the space of 2 months, 3 months, it's got so noisy again because I haven't filtered my list. So it's like, the reason I wanted to say it was almost as a value point to people is like, if you're kind of I like, well, you said you haven't really struggled all that much because you see it for what it is, but if you are someone that has kind of had a love-hate relationship with social media, and you find sometimes you maybe on it too much, or you're second guessing a caption, or you're like, well, I post this, and you're maybe posting a topless photo just for the likes, or just to have all your girlfriends say, oh my god, hon, looking well good, maybe you got to ask yourself, is this what you wanted from the platform? Because there's now the validation that comes from Instagram in like and engagements, and it's kind of getting in the way of real relationships in real time. But I think the essence of the point I want to make is, make the platform what you want it to be. Like, you could do what I did, which was drastic, unfollow every person and start from scratch again, and just filter and have a criteria for who you want to surround yourself with. Because if you think about it, it's almost like your friend group. I mean, you're not going to hang around with a dickhead that is bringing you down and doing your head in and not supporting you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the exact same thing online, like, your environment is your worth in a sense. And if you're following 100 of the brightest minds, of the best pages, of the best athletes, or the best of the best that are putting out valuable content, your whole experience with the platform will change.
Yeah. My mum was saying to me the other day that it's the people you surround yourself with is who you become. So it's like, even she was saying more in person, obviously it's the 5 people who you're closest to are the people who are like being reflected onto you. So you can use that in social media. If you're following a whole bunch of Insta models who you don't even know and you're not getting any valuable content from, that's not going to make you a happy person or give you any added value to your life. You're just going to end up feeling bad about yourself when you're coming off Instagram an hour later.
And that's the thing, and I know a lot of guys, because your generation, you're right in the middle of it. I mean, I was lucky. My generation was born right at the end of that, like, kind of Instagram overhaul and that social media overhaul. I got Instagram when I was, I think, 17, which, hate to say it, was nearly 8 years ago. Can't believe it. But, Instagram was completely different then. It was literally, you posted a photo of, like, you were at the beach and you would have posted a photo and you would have got your 4 likes and it would have been amazing. Where now, the platform is it's so different. There's algorithms to it. I mean, you're getting served the content that you're meant to see. There's no free will to discover. There's no free will to, get exposed to stuff that you wouldn't necessarily have got exposed to. And that's another thing that I don't like about the platforms as well, is like, people think that they're going on and they're just scrolling and they're seeing what they want to see. But that's it. You are only seeing what you want to see. Like, for me, I haven't seen anything outside rugby, CrossFit, business. I have a weird obsession with boat crashes, and I haven't seen anything outside of it as well. So it's like, that's all I see. And with Instagram and Facebook, you can't discover anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And you topped on it really well there. It's like, if you're going on and you're following the Kim Kardashians or all the rappers and the Drakes and the whoever, you're going to want to go and get those stupid, Nike Air Force Off-Whites and those stinking Air Maxes that everybody wears that really aren't that nice. But yet, they're going to pay the £200-300 for it because someone on Instagram has it.
Yeah, I do have them, but
I know, that was just a sly dig at you, Zoe.
Was it? I'm all over the white Air Max, don't worry.
Yeah, I think the problem's going to become more prevalent, but as you say, I think people are becoming more and more aware of, just kind of how the platform works and what it is to them. I mean, I think we needed that. We needed that kind of 2-3 years of getting it really fucking wrong in order to learn how to do it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But for me, and I think we would both agree, like, I really hope that it changes. I really hope that, people can make their profiles and their platforms for what they want to use it for. I mean, Instagram's a beautiful thing because, like, think of all the people who have got baking passions for baking, cakes and
Yeah.
shit, and they're making like baking with Louis, or
Yeah.
I know a girl that makes earrings, and
Yeah, it can be a great thing. Like we're giving it a really hard time, but I do think that it can be really positive, a really positive
yeah,
community and environment if it's used correctly. But I
yeah,
just think for young, impressionable teenagers, it can be difficult and toxic if
yeah.
not used correctly.
And I think that's kind of, that's why I wanted to touch on it with you, because you're in the heart of that generation. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that will be happy that we asked all these ugly questions and talked about the ugly side, because there's still, to this day, people that just don't really haven't figured that out yet. And they don't realize just how much it's affecting them and the way they get on. But
Yeah.
you know what? So much value in that, Zoe. I'm really glad we got your angle on that, because it's interesting. But I think I'm going to move things on to the big, bad, beautiful question that we ask every single person that comes on the show. And for if you're a first time listener, the number one question we ask everyone is, what is your version of success and how do you define it? And the reason we ask everyone this is because, if you'd asked me when I was 20 years old what I wanted or what success looked like to me, I would have said £1 million in the bank account. And that would have been me being brutally honest. But, I wasn't enlightened as I am now, and I wasn't looking for the finer things that I am now. And this is kind of a big ode to that, and kind of breaking down the stigmas with success. So, yeah, Zoe, let me hear, what is your definition of success?
So I have been thinking about this one, and I've kind of got it down to a few kind of words, a wee summary of what I think it is to me, or what I try and focus on anyway. So I think it's actually the effort that's put in relentlessly behind the scenes that is the true success. So it's it's in the perseverance, in the drive, the passion, the commitment that actually achieves the goals and gets the medals. So hence the process should actually be accredited the success, not the kind of tangible outcome. That is obviously an amazing byproduct of your hard work throughout the process. And it's something to kind of just show for your hard work, and that is obviously like the glory moment. That's great, but I do think that it's the daily grind, as I would say, the hard work that you put in every day that you should focus on, and that's where true success lies, I think, because it could be in CrossFit, it could be in any sport, it could be in life, relationships, job, work, anything like that applies to. And I just think that should be the focus point rather than the end goal, because I definitely find myself getting caught up in the end goal, and whether it be a position that qualifying for the CrossFit Games or something, rather than just taking it day by day. And I think that for me anyway has been so much more productive to me trying to achieve success.
You know what? That's such a funny thing you say that. First and foremost, what an incredible definition, and again, a completely brand new version of what success is to you. And again, it backs up the fact that success is relative to each individual in their own journey. But what I was going to say is, it's funny you say that, and again, you've been blowing me away this whole time, but you said something there that really sparked me. It's something that I've personally been struggling with. Is, I'm very goal orientated, and it's the way that I live my life. To me, that's like if I don't feel like I'm progressing internally, I get a lot of resistance. I get frustrated, and I think I can get so lost in the moment of trying. I'll say, look, I want to do a competition this summer, and it's all I'll think about, like the competition itself. And And you pointed out there, it's not that, it's the everyday, it's the focusing on, like, if you want to get to the CrossFit Games, just take it one good day of training at a time. And I think it's the small victories repeated daily type thing popping its head off.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not, because you can look at things in the macro. Oh, I've got 3 months to prep, of 6 months to prep, that's loads of time. But when you really break it down to the day by day, it's not. And imagine, would you rather do 3 months worth of training at 60%, or would you rather take every day at 85 and then, take it as it comes and make sure that every session is being adhered to, that you're doing your warm ups, your cool downs, the ugly stuff, the stretching, mobility, the eating, the sleeping, all your nutrition dialed in. Like, that's where the magic happens. And I think that's, am I right in saying that that's what you're trying to kind of put across?
That's that. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm trying to say. And also from a personal point of view, I'm very hard on myself on, I always feel that if I'm not putting 100% effort into my training, or actually whatever I'm doing, then I feel I'm like, oh, right, well, you could have done this better, you could have done that better. It's all about my effort that I put in, really. And I've actually noticed that kind of have sometimes negative effects on my mental health, and I have to be like, do you know what, you need to take a step back a second, be proud of the work that you're putting in, and just trust yourself and trust the process, as I would say. But I definitely think that as long as during the process that you're enjoying it and that you're having fun and that you are just taking it easy on yourself, as well as obviously putting the hard work in, I think that is also really important. Because again, if you get too hard on yourself and caught up on the goal and the end picture, then you're never going to get there while keep being positive and happy. I think also happiness is a really, there's no point in achieving a goal if it's making you miserable. I think that you really need to be happy doing it.
And it speaks volumes, and it's testament to who you are as an individual, because I know I struggle with it, and I'm starting to come to the end of a cycle again, where, like, stuff I learned like 3 or 4 years ago, I've completely forgotten. I'm being reintroduced to them again, and to be brutally honest, this is one of them. Is like, the process is where the magic happens, and I know it from business. But before I was ever in business, I was a competitor at heart, and I've been an athlete in some way, shape, or form, and I used to love training, and I used to love showing up and trying to win and trying to beat people. And it was actually listening to another podcast that I realized that I'd become burnt out. And it's because of exactly what you've said. I was too obsessed with the end goal of making that, digit figure, or of getting that time, or of qualifying for that competition. And it's interesting because it's come at a great time. I'm setting myself, my goal is I'd love to qualify for a sanctional, and I know what my time commitments are, and where my efforts are, and I know I can only really give an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, realistically, and I think I needed to hear that, especially going into kind of my new training block, and making sure that I am enjoying it day by day, because at the end of the day, you're right, it's, if you can't enjoy it every day, what's the fucking point in doing it?
Exactly. There's no point. You need to be passionate and happy about it. I think that's the main thing. So that's why I also think that it's also important not to focus on the end goal, because in 5 years' time, for me, my passion I don't think so, but my passion may not lie in CrossFit. It may lie in some completely different thing. And I'm not going to be hard on myself if that's the case. I think whatever you're passionate and happy about doing, which for me now is CrossFit, I think that's where you need to be prioritizing your time and putting all of your effort into. But it doesn't matter what the passion is, as long as you're enjoying it and all that sort of stuff. I just think that you change as a person as you grow up and get older, and I just think that you always need to be conscious of your happiness and where your priorities should lie.
I love it. I need to get you a stage and a microphone, Zoe.
And also, I want to qualify for a sanctional as well, so we should be going for the same one.
Yeah, your goal is not to get there and come last in every workout, which is mine. Like, so I don't care if I come last in every workout. That's the thing. It's like,
but let's just get there first. But we need to pick like an exotic one.
Oh yeah, we need to go to one that nobody's going to enter.
I know, and then we'll win.
Like one in like Latvia or something, like a secret sanctional.
a secret or Asia or something.
But you know what, Zoe, again, and I've highlighted on it, I just can't believe you're 18 and you're coming out with all these knowledge bombs. And, that was another incredibly mature response and answer to, which can be quite a difficult question for some people. So like, where the hell did you learn all of this? What's your main sources of learning all this and developing your maturity and understanding? And I know you'd said about having a good environment and podcasts. Is that where you get it from, or?
I mean, I kind of, when I was a bit younger, when I was maybe 13, 14, 15, I was going through a really tough time in school, and I actually ended up moving school. I didn't have a good time at all, and I was really insecure and not confident in myself at all. And through that time, I wouldn't go back and change it for the world now, because it has taught me so much about self-worth and all of that sort of stuff, and that was kind of the time when I was starting CrossFit as well. So that's, I think, why I became so passionate about it, because I put all my time into that, almost to forget anything else that was going on. And my mum, obviously I've mentioned her a lot, but my mum and dad really taught me to develop confidence and your self-worth, and know where your priorities should be at that point. And it's really stuck with me, and it was a tough time that now I've been able to learn from and get through. And I think that I learned that lesson at such a young age, to what you should expect from others and yourself. So now that has benefited me so much and made me know who I am as a person and what I want in life. Well, what I think I want anyway. So, because I'm only 18, so at the end of the day, I don't know much about life, but I just know that no matter what it is, I'm going to put my best forward. And that lesson that I learned earlier in life really taught me a lot, and I've grown so much from that. So I think that it was a culmination of that, and just having such an amazing support network from my mum and dad that taught me how to get through that, and has just made me a bit more self-aware and just aware of kind of what's going on around me a bit more from now anyway.
That's crazy. I think picking up on that, it was a period of trial and tribulation in your life, and I think a lot of people could be going through a lot of shit right now. COVID's causing a lot of disruption with jobs, and and a lot of things that can cause a lot of stress. But I think there's a mini lesson in that, and what you've just said, and it is kind of those trials and tribulations will teach you a lot about yourself, but you will always come out the other end far better off. You'll be, whatever it may be, from your confidence to your happiness to being able to deal with whether anxieties or insecurities, you'll always come out the other end better if you just face it head on. And that's crazy that that you experienced that at such a young age. And I think that's probably that's where you get this crazy kind of, I would say, maturity almost, because you've kind of already went through a bit of bump and grind in your life. What I mean? You're right saying.
Yeah, I think that just anyone, because obviously so many people go through different things, especially when they're younger, and especially that's why I was quite passionate about the social media thing. I know personally the effects it can have, especially when you're younger, and I think that for anyone out there who's listening to this, who's going through something similar, or in any walk of their life, just needs to know that they're so worthy of anything, and that anything that's going on is happening for a reason, and it'll teach you so much and make you a better person as you come out the other end of it, which I can attest to that, because that was such a tough time in my life, and now that I couldn't be happier now, and just realize that was a reflection on the other people, not me.
I love that. Do you know what? I think that's a really good note to finish on. I think there's a really, really nice message in that, Zoe. So we'll wrap it up then. Do you want to do a shameless plug now? I know what a shameless plug is after the last podcast we done.
Yeah, go follow me on the gram.
What is your tag?
Well, it's my tag. Wait, I recently changed it. Let me just look. It is Zoe Kerr. Oh, no. Zoe Kerr 13. No spaces.
No spaces, no nothing?
No nothing, just Zoe Kerr 13.
one of those wee things above the O or the E in your Zoe?
No, it's just plain old Zoe. Instagram didn't allow me to put the 2 dots, so.
Okay.
It's
Well, yes, guys,
definitely
get on Zoe Kerr 13. I would highly recommend anybody to follow Zoe's journey. I think she's got a bright future in the sport. I can't wait to see her come of age and give the big girls a go for their money. I'm buzzing for that.
That's the aim. We'll see.
But thank you to everybody who listened. And you can get us on Spotify, on YouTube. You can get us on all the platforms. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. And we'll leave you with the company motto, which is small victories repeated daily. And we will talk soon.
Thank you.